All right. So, one of the biggest questions that I think are on the top of a lot of people's minds, I know it is on my mind, is how to actually build a quality life. There's so much around this idea of a quality, of a purpose filled, of an enjoyable, of a blessed life. There's so many voices, there's so many opinions on how to actually achieve that. Do you follow your purpose? Do you follow your passion? Build a business, make more money, buy a house, have a family, Like there's so many opinions about this that it just gets overwhelming. It gets really confusing. And the interesting thing about it is that it's actually pretty simple topic, right? It's a pretty like what do you enjoy in life? What do you feel called to do and release into this world? Like what brings you fulfillment? All these kind of things. These are like basic questions. But it's interesting that if you go to a random person, right? Just anybody off the street, or if you're in a room full of 100 people and you ask them all, like, what do you want in life? A lot of them won't be able to tell you. They'll be able to tell you certain things that they're trying to achieve, or they'll tell you certain things that they feel like they're missing. If I just had more companionship, I wouldn't be so lonely. If I just had more money, then I can have more freedom. And they'll tell you all these kind of things, but it's really interesting how very few people actually know what a desirable life is for themselves. And if you just kind of take a step back, and look at just human evolution, right? As far as like how we evolve from being, and not evolution in that sense, but evolution is just how we evolve from being infants, children, learning, school. Like we come into this world and we don't know anything, we don't have anything, we have to learn everything, right? And we're surrounded with people that are constantly telling us where we need to go, what we need to do, and how we need to do it. And when we make a mistake or when we get off track or something like that, we get corrected. Sometimes we get made fun of. And those things like leave scars in our life. And sometimes what I've noticed is that you can get to a point where you are almost afraid to, one, say what it is that you desire, or two, even have the faith to believe for what you desire. In other words, you've like intrinsically, you feel like it's wrong to have a desirable life. Maybe you agree with that. I think for those of us that have come from like very heavily criticized backgrounds or overly analytical or insecure or any of those kind of things, like there could be a moment or there could be a feeling where it's just like, I almost feel guilty. Like I feel like this is not permissible for me to think about a desirable life. But here's what I wanted to talk about, and here's what I wanted to bring up and hopefully cause you to think about this for yourself. A desirable life is a life that you desire. Now, that's really simple, right? But it kind of goes back to that first question of like, what do you actually desire? And then the second thing is, I think is really what I've just kind of been looking at is like, what are you doing right now? Or how is your life right now that you don't, or what about it do you not desire? And I think sometimes that could actually be a little bit more, that could give us a little bit more of a clue as to what it is that we desire by first realizing what we don't desire. And so, what's interesting about this idea of building a desirable life is that when you truly build a desirable life, you attract other people who have that same desire, or who maybe not even that same desire, but who maybe haven't been aware of a life that they desire. Like, it's contagious. If you see someone and they're living their desirable life, it just by nature like makes you want to desire a desirable life, you know? And I think that that's important because for a lot of us, we're just stuck in the day in, the day out, like the routine, the mundane, just surviving, managing, that it takes people who are brave enough, who are courageous enough to live their desirable life, to kind of wake those people up and kind of go, look, man, you can have this too. What do you desire? And I think that if we kind of take a step back and look at just like the landscape of people who are influential, many, not all, but I think many are showcasing their desirable life. And that's actually what is causing attraction and influence, is the fact that they're living a desirable life. They're just enjoying what it is that they do and how they do it. And that is attractive. That's attractive. So, you know, one of the things that I was thinking about for myself, that I'm like, okay, what is one of those things that you're doing that you don't want to do, right? Like, and that is not a desirable life for you. And man, this one, you know, this one kind of hit me. And what it was is striving. Like, striving is not a desirable life for me. You know, like, I don't want to strive for anything. Now, that doesn't mean I'm not disciplined. I don't want to do hard work. It doesn't mean that, you know, there's not sacrifice. No. There's all that stuff. And to a degree, like, there's actually enjoyment in some of that stuff. Like, you go to the gym or you discipline your body, or you're like, yeah, it's hard, it's difficult, but there's like a reward. You feel good. You're like, yo, this is, you know, I got my payoff. Like, I'm losing weight. I'm feeling better. I'm being more active. I'm getting out in nature. Like, you know, but then there's this idea of striving where it's like a constant revving of the engine, but never going anywhere. You're just revving the engine, revving the engine, revving the engine. And in some cases, this striving can almost like make you feel like you're going somewhere, you know? You're like, yeah, I'm out there revving the engine, you know, getting it ready for the race, but you're not doing anything. And I find myself in moments of just striving, moments of just revving that engine. You know, there will be some days where I'll be striving all day long, you know, 8 hours, 10 hours, whatever. And I'll get to the end of the day and I'll ask myself, what did you do today? And, you know, I look back and I go, man, I know I was revving. I know I was like, I know there was this engine that was revving, but nothing really got done. Nothing really got done. And to me, that's a mark of striving. Also, too, I think that there's some real consequences that I've experienced in my own life when you strive. This is where you start to get burnout. This is where you start to get physical effects. This is where you start to let your health go. This is when your mental health is bad, you know, things are negative, you're discouraged, you're depressed, you're dealing with anxiety, like you're uncertain about the future, you don't want to have conversations, you don't want community. Like, all these are all kind of like byproducts and side effects of a person who is striving. You know, then I look around at a lot of people. I look around and I observe people in their businesses, in their marriage, in their ministries, and in all these different things that they're doing. And I can't help but think, like, how many are striving, you know? And then you have these conversations, you know, I'm thankful that I'm in a position to be a source of wisdom for people. I love that, man. I love that so much. And so I enjoy helping people think through and go through some of the things that they're going through. But, you know, a lot of times it's really just like you're striving. That's the problem. You know, the problem isn't that you're not good enough. The problem isn't that you don't have enough. The problem isn't that, you know, you're not smart enough. you don't have enough money, whatever it is, your business isn't growing. That's not the problem. The problem is actually your striving. And man, let me just tell you this, and this is what I want to encourage you with. This is what I'm encouraging myself with, is that striving is the number one thing that is killing your desirable life. So how do you actually build a desirable life? I don't think that there's a person that would say that striving is part of that. Like, you know what I think striving is? This is the image that I got, is somebody reaching up for something to grab it, something they desire, and reaching for it. And no matter how close they get, it keeps on getting further and further away. It's like right there. And it just keeps on, getting moved further and further and further away. You get a little closer, it moves a little further. That right there is striving. And let me just tell you, man, I'm talking to myself in front of you. That's not the way to go. That's not the way to go at all. It's not the way to build a life, a family, a business, a passion, a career, a ministry, anything. Like, it's not the way to parent. It's not the way. It does nothing, man. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And matter of fact, no, it does do something. It steals and it kills and it robs you of having the life that I believe that God created you to have, which is not necessarily a life of always getting everything your way and always having the best of the best and never having any issues. No, that's not what it is at all. The life that God has for you is a life that is filled with the most important things: the joy, the strength, the excitement, the hope, the faith, the belief, friendships, family, community, influence, leadership. These are the things that God has created you for. And the number one thing that I see in my life that is going to steal that and kill that inside of you is going to be striving. Let me know in the comments what you think. I would love to hear. Does this resonate with you? And if so, tell me exactly how. I would love to know how this resonates with you. Till next time, you were created to do good work.